Listen, I appreciate this whole seduction scene you've got going, but let me give you a tip. I'm a sure thing, okay? So, I'm on an hourly rate. Could we just move it along?
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Huge shout out to all the subscribers who requested this video. Salute to you guys for constantly bringing these great topics to the table. Today, we're diving into a movie that's been romanticized for decades. Pretty Woman.
Pretty woman walking down the street.
What many see as a heartwarming Cinderella story, I see as a red flag. A major warning for men and a lesson wrapped in fairy tale packaging. We're talking about a story that glorifies a man saving a woman from her past, in this case, prostitution. But the truth is, you can't make a 304 a housewife unless you're living in a fairy tale.
And I would pretend I was a princess trapped in the tower by a wicked queen.
In this video, we're gonna break down what Pretty Woman really teaches us about men, relationships, and the dangerous illusion that women with a troubled past can magically be transformed by the quote-unquote right man. There's a lot to unpack, but we'll focus on hypergamy, the Cinderella Complex for men, and why it's crucial to see through the fantasy. We broke it down into 2 chapters. Chapter 1, you can't make a 304 a housewife, but in fairy tales you can. Chapter 2, the Cinderella Complex for men. Let's talk about it. Disclaimer: this video contains copyrighted footage, so we will be freezing it frequently to prevent copyright infringement. A special salute to our Patreon supporters. The original video will be available on Patreon. If you enjoy our content and want the full experience, consider supporting us on Patreon. Now it's time for us to get into this and do what we gotta do, because we men, ain't we? We men, ain't we? What makes Pretty Woman intriguing is the unusual dynamic it presents for a romantic comedy. Julia Roberts' character, Vivian, is a prostitute, and this was in the early 90s, which created controversy but also curiosity. Shout out to Julia Roberts for bringing this character to life, because let's be real, she makes this movie.
What's your name?
What do you want it to be? Vivian. My name is Vivian.
Vivian.
But because it's a rom-com, the severity of Vivian's situation is glossed over. Her circumstances are lightened, and despite her being a damsel in distress, you don't really feel like she is in a dire situation. That's the power of romantic comedies. They take serious matters and make them feel less severe.
At the end of the month, I collect everybody's rent. Now give me the money or you're out of here.
Detective Albertson. What do you know about that girl?
I tell you, man, I don't know who she hang with.
Come on, guy. We just pulled her out of a dumpster in the back. Who is a pimp?
Excuse me. What are you, from the press?
No, we're from Orlando.
Oh, I don't believe this. Do you see? I got tourists photographing the body out.
I can't believe you bought drugs with our rent. What is going on with you, kid? I needed a little pick-me-up. Oh, well, we need rent money. I just saw a girl pulled out of a dumpster.
I know. Skinny Marie, but she was a flake. She was a crackhead. Dominic was trying to straighten her out for months.
The key scene, in my opinion, that confirms you can't make a 304 a housewife, except in fairy tales, is when Vivian tells her story about how she became a prostitute.
First guy I ever loved was total nothing. The second was worse. My mom called me a bum magnet. There was a bum within a 50-mile radius. I was completely attracted to him. That's how I ended up here. I followed bum number 3. So here I was, no money, no friends, no bum.
So you chose this as your profession?
I worked at a couple fast food places. Parked cars at wrestling. I couldn't make the rent. I was too ashamed to go home. That's when I met Kit. She was a hooker and made it sound so great. So one day I did it. I I cried the whole time. But then I got some regulars, and, you know, it's not like anybody plans this. It's not your childhood dream.
It could be so much more.
People put you down enough, you start to believe it.
I think you are a very bright, very special woman.
The bad stuff is easier to believe. You ever notice that?
You see, this is the ultimate female fantasy. She's laying out all her bad decisions, dealing with bums, choosing prostitution because she couldn't make rent, and being too scared to go home. And what does Edward say? I think you are a very bright, very special woman. This is pure gold. You can't make this stuff up. This is a very successful businessman in his 40s, a guy wrecked by divorce who could have any woman lined up to be his girlfriend. But he is infatuated with a prostitute? This movie is crafted for a female audience. It taps into the idea that even a woman with a troubled past can still be chosen by a high-status man. But for men, it's a trap. It sells the idea that a woman with a self-destructive past can magically transform into the perfect girlfriend if the quote-unquote right man comes along. Here's the reality. Just like it takes a certain type of man to become a successful businessman, it takes a certain type of woman to become a prostitute. We've talked about OnlyFans content creators and adult entertainers before, and there's a pattern. These women choose to become sex workers. Reason number 1, money. Reason number 2, sex. And reason number 3, attention. A woman choosing this lifestyle tells you all you need to know about her character and values. Take a look.
Back then, which was like a webcamming site.
Yeah.
So you weren't doing solos on there, but you were teasing. So, and I was a very like sexual, free-spirited person at the time. I was like early 20s. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And then he was like, are you open to doing girl? And I was thinking like, well, I've shot with other models nude. We didn't do anything sexual, but I was just very sexually curious and like, you know, would make out with girls and, you know, get stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm open to that. And then he added another thing like, are you open to doing boy girl? I had a boyfriend at the time, a very serious relationship that I was in. And when I was, you know, talking to him about like, hey, like this agent wants to recruit me to do this. Like he said he can book me 3 months solid, like Arizona, Florida, California. He was like, no, I don't want you like sleeping with other guys. And then the agent came back and said, well, it's the most in demand, so you'll get the most work.
There you have it. Free spirit. Let's break it down. Janice, read.
Free spirit, a person who does what they want with enjoyment and pleasure and doesn't feel limited by the usual rules of social behavior.
This adult entertainer, Chloe Amore, had a boyfriend at the time, but he couldn't stop her from entering the adult industry, no matter how much he loved her. That's the mark of a free-spirited person. They enjoy crossing boundaries. That's where the excitement is.
Well, I was brought up very sheltered. I was the only child, so my parents tried to keep me from everything. And I also went to Catholic school, so I had a lot of don'ts in my life, that you can't do this, you can't do that. So it really piqued my curiosity in what it is I wasn't supposed to do. I just didn't like the word don't. I wanted to find out for myself. I wanted to define what sexuality was for me because it felt good.
The more you try to stop them, the more they rebel. You can't save them because they don't want to be saved. They only learn the repercussions of their choices when it's too late, when they have to re-enter quote-unquote normal society, and society doesn't accept them because of their past. And that leads us to the next chapter, the Cinderella Complex for men.
Listen to me. She's not a spy. She is a hooker. She is a hooker. I picked her up on Hollywood Boulevard. In your car. Yes.
You are.
Yes.
You know, you're the only millionaire I ever heard of who goes looking for a bargain basement streetwalker, you know?
Edward! I'm sorry I told you. Senator.
The film glorifies the idea of a man rescuing a woman from a questionable lifestyle. In this case, prostitution, which feeds into the Cinderella complex for women. In fairy tales, women wait to be saved, and men are rewarded for doing the saving. But here's the harsh truth. Saving a woman from her bad choices, especially ones as severe as prostitution, rarely leads to a healthy or fulfilling relationship. You can't build a future on a foundation of dysfunction.
Having a nice time, Vivian?
Yeah, I'm having a great time.
Must be quite a change from Hollywood Boulevard, huh?
What?
Yeah, Edward told me. Hey, don't worry, your secret is safe with me. Listen, maybe you and I could get together sometime after Edward leaves.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Well, then we'll just have to do that, huh?
This scene is powerful because it highlights a deeper layer of relationship dynamics when men try to rescue women from these lifestyles. Even though Vivian is a prostitute, she still feels cheap when Stucky points it out. Why? Because no matter what narrative the movie spins, deep down, she knows that selling her body for money comes at a cost. She may be attractive, but the stigma around her profession, no matter how well hidden, remains.
I've never had anyone make me feel as cheap as you did today.
Somehow I find that very hard to believe.
Vivian feels hurt because in the end, she's judged not by her personality, but by the reality of what she does. No matter how charming or sweet she might be, she can't escape the fact that her value in Stucky's eyes, like in society's eyes, is tied to the transactional nature of her profession.
I don't ever truly feel that I am loved for me, for who I am.
This is a harsh reality. There's a difference between lust and love. Men, no matter how evolved or modern they claim to be, still feel the intimacy and exclusivity tied to sex. This is why prostitution remains stigmatized in most societies. And it's also why women hate the analogy that says a key that opens many locks is a master key, but a lock opened by many keys is a shitty lock.
I mean, a lot of guys have a hard time with that. Did he? Yeah. I mean, looking back on it now, do you think that he just like didn't understand what he was getting into, or do you think that he was just trying to hold on to you no matter what?
I think he was just trying to hold on to me no matter what. I think they never really know what they're getting into. Yeah. I think even if you try to date somebody in the industry, once you start having emotions and feelings, like a lot of us are very territorial and, you know, it's human nature to kind of feel that like jealousy and control. I admire couples where they don't allow that to interfere with their relationships, because even for myself, it is hard for me to want to share the person that I'm in love with or very attracted to, because I want them all to myself.
Women want to believe that their past can be overlooked and that their value doesn't decrease with promiscuity. But deep down, they know otherwise.
I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared to answer questions about us. It was stupid and cruel. I didn't mean it. I don't want you to go. You stay the week.
Why?
I saw you talking to David Morris. I didn't like it.
We were just talking.
I didn't like it.
You
hurt me.
Yes.
Don't do it again.
The problem with Pretty Woman is that it sells the fantasy that a relationship based on a financial transaction can somehow evolve into true love. But in reality, that foundation is weak. Men, especially high-status men like Edward, don't want to introduce a woman like Vivian to their social circles. They might have fun with her, but publicly acknowledging her, that's another story.
Whether it's their family, their friendships, but I tell them for the rest of your life, every man you meet is going to want to be with you, but they're not going to want to be with you.
What a lie.
But it's real.
Yeah.
They want to be with you, but they don't want to be with you. They don't want to be your emergency contact number. They don't want to bring you around their family. They don't want to have you around all their friends, but they want to be with you. So that is a real thing. And so I never thought that the internet would happen. You know, when we were on film, we were living double lives. Nobody knew who we were. Then the internet happens. I'm like, okay, double life no more.
Here's the bottom line. No matter how well a woman plays her role in a transactional relationship, most men will hesitate to make that woman a part of their future, especially their family. Many men fall into the trap of believing they can fix a woman or change her, but that's not how it works. A woman's core values, lifestyle, and past are a part of her. No amount of love, money, or rescuing will change that. Men need to understand that the deeper connection required to sustain a real relationship isn't just about chemistry. It's about shared values and integrity. A high-status man like Edward would face significant societal consequences for parading a woman with Vivian's past around his social circles. And no matter what fairy tales like Pretty Woman tell you, it does matter what people think, especially if you care about maintaining your reputation and integrity as a man.
Could you send the tickets to the hotel?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Where are you going?
I have a date.
With the hooker?
Be careful, Philip.
Man, if we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.